Everybody, we are back. It is Save the Lives, Favorite Raiders podcast, Favorite Raiders channel, Favorite Raiders everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also, follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at Glen Rockney for Glen, and of course, pandasubs.com. Discount code TDL for 35% off. And of course, also we'll get you a shirt, guys. Go ahead, support TDL, new merch. Just appreciate everybody who's bought a shirt already. Taped Online merch. Go ahead and support that. All right, guys. So we're back. It's Friday Night Live. We're gonna be doing some, over unders again. Kind of get that going. We've been doing that for the last couple of weeks, so we're gonna keep that going, and then we're gonna do, of course, talk about mini camp and what's happening with mini camp. So, what's going on with you, Glenn? How you feeling, man?
Feeling good. Been in, like I said, really the only content of the Raiders I've been consuming over the last week or so has just been this channel with the breakdowns of Aiden O'Connell, Jacorian Bennett. Excellent job on that front. Everybody go watch that if you haven't already. I also really have enjoyed the coaches' press conferences. I don't know why. I don't know why. I know they mean nothing. They mean nothing, right? But just, I don't know, they get you kind of fired up. I guess it's what we need this time of year. It's been good. I'm excited about this defense, particularly this defensive line. I think this defensive line, I will be extremely disappointed if they don't take over games consistently.
Yeah, I mean, the defensive line is getting very hyped at practice. Let's say that. So, I mean, that's the biggest hype of everything that's happening at mini camp right now is the defensive line. Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, those guys are wrecking havoc, I guess, on the offense. We're going to talk about that today. How the offense is kind of just, shit in the bed a little bit out there, supposedly. So, I mean, if you listen to the press conferences, that's why that's a good thing to point out. Because you listen to press conferences, it just sounds a little different than what the media is saying, right?
Yeah.
And it's, Nate Haas talk about how the good throws that O'Connell made, right? And you never really heard about those throws. It's just the things that they're missing. And, it's interesting to hear how they're talked about in the press conferences compared to how they're talked about in the media.
Yeah. No, and then, I will say one thing you can't do is I think the guy is phenomenal and cool. I'm not taking anything Rob Ryan says seriously because that dude said everybody on the team was like a Hall of Famer, essentially. Like, he's the type of guy that would go to Chipotle. Chipotle is under fire for a lot of viral videos and stuff. He'd go to Chipotle and say that the guy making the rice, the cilantro lime rice, would be like Bobby Flay. He'd be like, that's Bobby Flay right there. This guy's the best in the world. Like, I look, you need that guy on the roster. I know he's kind of Raiders have some like floating coaches, like it seems like they have a lot of guys with a lot of experience in the league. AP being a 1 year, really not even 1 year coach, right? A half a year coach, essentially. So you're going to need those type of guys. But there are other guys like Rob Leonard, I thought were offered a lot of really good insight to the Tyree Wilsons and Byron Youngs. Edgar Bennett's great. I mean, you talk about a guy that's survived. How long has Edgar Bennett, been a Raiders coach through how much coaching turnover? I mean, that's a respected voice. You obviously have to take advantage. And I enjoy the coach press conferences a lot more than the players because, I mean, I don't need to hear Devontae Adams talk ever again. I'm just going to say that. It's not anything against him, but he clearly doesn't want to do it. It's like the Bill Belichick of players, but not funny.
Yeah. Jacoby Myers is super quick too. Jacoby Myers had the quickest answers.
None of those guys. None of those guys want to talk. Like, Crosby all day dropping like slurs and hard, but just like he's in the locker room, you know what I mean, talking like that. Wilkins is good, but for the most part, it's like, dude, these guys don't want to talk. Let's just get the whole coaching staff up there.
Yeah, I mean, because James Craig was good too.
Very good.
I mean, you pointed out to me about Scott Turner, talk about stealing some stuff from Marion over there at UNLV. That's something that if they're doing things like that, you could see why the offense might be struggling a little bit. And especially if they're adding some cool stuff in there, trying to figure out how to get guys open, right? I mean, that's really what they got to do with these quarterbacks, regardless. Is they got to figure out ways to get these guys open and give them easy looks. So that's going to be the most important thing. But yeah, hearing those coaches talk, you can just tell that they're a little bit more unified here. There's not just like a one way. There's not like an authoritarian type of thing. You can feel like there's a lot of input from everybody else, from all the coaches. Guys are putting their thoughts into it. It's basically like more of a brain trust right now instead of we do what Josh does. Whatever Josh says goes. That's kind of the change here, in my opinion. But it is different. It's refreshing just to see some good coaches in here, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when they, the reporters are asking about a lot of the young players or second year players, guys that first year under the new staff, which I think is the right move. And I think those guys are getting hyped up a little bit by the coaching staff as a kind of a form of manifestation. A little bit, I think. Like I think some of the guys want to hear some positive reinforcement in the media from the coaches. Maybe behind closed doors, there's a little bit more criticism. We would certainly hope so, but it just seems like there's a good vibe right now. I guess the skeptic in me, and everyone's like, I'm even right now. I don't think the time for skepticism is right now because who cares? It's June. This is the only time as Raider fans we get to be like happy for most of our lives. But the skeptic in me is like, okay, what if you're on a 2 to 3 game losing streak in the season? Does this optimism stay? I want to say yes, and I don't even want to find out. I want to win a bunch of games this year, but. Yeah. That happens to the best of the teams, Chiefs, all these teams that go through these type of things. I want to see if that same fire is there, the same like, oh yeah, these guys are the best. I'm hoping that it's still there.
Yeah, I think the only time they lost 2 games in a row was the Chiefs, right? It was the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Is that it? Or they lost 3 in a row, huh?
Yeah, they had a pretty rough streak, I thought, around that time. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because they won the first 2 and then they lost the next 3, and then they beat the Chiefs, and then they lost, and then they lost to the Colts, and then they won out. So yeah, so it's kind of 5-4. That's how you get there. But you kind of saw that last year maybe a little bit with that 3 game losing streak. So if the team is bought into AP, it's gonna take a lot of losing. They haven't been losing yet. So I guess that's kind of how you have to look at it. It'll probably take like a 4-12 or something, like 4-13 or something like that, or something like that for him to start to lose the locker room, because maybe it's the quarterback he picks. It's those type of things that would affect it, in my opinion. Is like if the wrong quarterback's out there and he's not doing what they really want him to do, that would be where he would lose it, in my opinion.
I think so too. I'm optimistic. I've liked everything I've seen so far. I just it's a lot of losing that we've gone through. So I just those thoughts rear their ugly heads from time to time.
Yeah, for sure, man. Looking at the comments, but somebody said the NBA Finals. Thank God y'all live. The NBA Finals is stinky. Yes, it is.
And the hockey. I'm not a hockey guy, but it's like sometimes if the finals are bad, like some people will be like, "Oh, hockey's game 6." That can be fun sometimes. Like playoff hockey has an intensity that the regular season doesn't. No, terrible this year too. That girl for Edmonton was like the star of the show. Like that was really.
We got a girl playing?
Not exactly. I don't know if you saw the highlight. Very viral in the stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
I've done research. I broke down the all 22. Don't worry.
Okay. All right, man. That makes sense. I was like, wait a second. All right. So rundown today. Of course, we got to talk Aiden O'Connor versus Minshew like every week until they make a pick. And then we talk about the offense struggling. Crosby, Albert Breer, basically talking shit. And then offensive line set.
I know what you're laughing at. I know what you're laughing at right now.
Minshew and Bowers over under.
I know it. You just got it right now. I think what I was saying.
Yeah. I get it.
Thank you, Aaron, in the comments for saying what I didn't.
All right, man. So O'Connell versus Minshew, the battle continues. I guess Minshew got more first team snaps on Tuesday, and then O'Connell got all the first team snaps, more first team snaps on Wednesday, right? So those 2 days, Minshew and O'Connell battling it out. I guess, technically, if you read the pieces, I guess O'Connell probably, I think, outplayed him a little bit both times. Especially you could see the reaction from some of the players too, in the player press conferences. The way they talk about O'Connell making those throws that he was making. So I don't know, man. The final practice got canceled, right? And I know a lot of people. I see somebody they cancel the final practice because offense is playing terrible. I don't know. See, that's the thing. Do they think that? It's all about what the coaches believe, right? If they feel like they've made enough plays and maybe they feel like the defense was playing good defense, I mean, the coaches decide that. I mean, it's going to be hard to really judge that, from an outside perspective, because maybe they play better than what the media is saying in their heads. So, what were some of your thoughts on O'Connell versus Minshew so far?
Yeah, again, I still think it's Aiden's job. I think they're trying to see who commands the huddle the best, and I know a lot of people want to see Gardner Minshew as kind of this, rogue, like Rich Gannon type, Stabler type, and I don't think that's the case. Again, I think this guy is a high level backup, and I think Aiden's going to win the job. I think more players are excited by what O'Connell brings, maybe because they played with him last year and saw some flashes. And I get that it's not the most exciting battle around the league, and I understand why people are like, man, this is what we have to look forward to. But to me, I think Aiden O'Connell's gonna have to be like terrible, like horrendous for him to lose the job. And it doesn't seem like he's been that way yet. It seems like the overall offense has just had some trouble.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just don't know how much of it's dramatized, like when you're just installing something against the defense. Again, as people have pointed out in the comments, are they running the ball this much? No,
No,
it's a lot
no.
of passing plays. So it's the defense has a lot of continuity. I mean, they're more talented right now, I would say, than the offense.
Mhm.
And the offense is passing the whole time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're passing the whole time. They probably are doing run plays, but I mean, what can they really do with no pads, right? I mean,
Right.
even with no shells. I mean, sometimes if they just don't have shoulder pads on, they're not going to do a lot of running. But I'm sure they're doing something with the run game. They're probably mixing it up a little bit there, but it's not nothing where you should get too crazy about. Because I mean, it is true. I mean, if they are installing a new offense, right, it's going to be a little bit of up and down. It's going to be, and especially when you have two new quarterbacks running a different offense. If we talk about Scott Turner, talk about Marion coming in there and
Hmm.
adding those plays. I mean, we'll see. And then AP said that they threw the whole playbook at him and they're gonna bring it back down. So I believe if they do that, and what plays I think they're gonna stick to is it will work out for O'Connell. But I mean, if Minshew is getting some of those first team snaps like that, then it might be a lot closer about than we think, or that it should be. Because I mean, just because he's the veteran or whatever, and maybe they feel like I just they want to win, right? They feel like they have the defense to win, and they're going to go with the vet. They might end up doing that, but I really hope they don't do that. But just hearing about him getting especially the first day, right? I mean, it's not like it was the first day O'Connell got it, and then the second day, it went to Minshew. Like Minshew got the most first snaps the first day, so maybe they feel like that. I mean, yeah, he's probably gonna maybe pick it up better, maybe quicker. I don't know. I don't know about that, but I mean, from the talk of it, it sounds like O'Connell has been sharper than him though. So maybe that's why O'Connell ended up getting more snaps the next day. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's tough to say because you hear again in the pressers, everybody's like, the offense is so much easier. It's so much easier than what we ran, which I believe. I believe that it's an easier offense to pick up than that. But you still have to install it. There's still a wipe away the old stuff, install the new one. There's still a learning curve, and with Minshew, maybe I could see Minshew making more big plays too. I think
yeah,
they want to be a big. Even though I think the real move is to be a run first team and kind of paper cut teams to death in the pass game and control the clock and do all the stuff that the analytics nerds kind of scoff at, but yet when the 49ers do it, it's totally fine. But all of these things that they should be doing, I do still think they want to make big plays. I think the pressure is they're like, we're in the AFC, we need to make big plays. And I do think right now Minshew can make the big play more than Aiden O'Connell can. Big play, I mean, extend the play a little bit,
yeah,
play off schedule just a little bit. I mean, I saw your breakdown. Maybe when people are at O'Connell's feet, it's a bit different
yeah,
than when Minshew is, which you'd expect from a year 6 quarterback. But
yeah.
yeah, maybe that's what they think.
Yeah, I don't understand this question. Like, what do you want us to talk about? What should we be talking about?
That's what I mean. It's like you tuned into a live stream when football doesn't start for a few months. I mean, do you want to like talk about who our top 5 Raiders are? I mean, I'm down, but I just truly, it's like I agree.
Greatest Raiders of all time.
I agree to an extent. These takes might not matter in a little bit, but it's just like, dude, you logged in. I mean, you came into Friday Night Live. We're live.
It says mini camp.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, throw a question if you want us to talk about something. Like, I throw a question, but
Throw a question out, man. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's mini camp. I mean, it's been a big week for the whole league. I mean, it's all over TikTok and stuff like that, bro. Like it's all over TikTok. We talk about like the rookie quarterback, his little throw. I mean, we're judging Caleb Williams because Keenan Allen stopped. You know.
Oh yeah, football is king. I'm sorry, like we care about this. Like we care about this stuff. We care about like a weird throw that we saw on Twitter, like in camp, or like somebody walking funny in practice. You know, like we care about this stuff. It's a reason football is king and other sports aren't. Like it is what it is. I wish I didn't care as much, but here we are. You know.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of negativity in the chat tonight. Like what happened? It wasn't that bad of a week.
I don't know, man. They're upset, man. I tell you, and that's the thing. Like they're putting a new offense in, right? So yeah. I mean, I guess we could get to that topic, anyways. But they're putting a new offense in, and with that happening, I mean, Jacoby Myers has never ran anything besides the Patriots offense.
Yeah.
Right. He's probably confused as hell. Who knows? He can say what he wants to say, and I know that really. Teams run the same stuff. I mean, they all run the same stuff. I get it. I understand that from an NFL perspective, but it's a totally different call. It's a different name. It's a different look. Maybe you don't have to adjust as much as you do in the Patriot system. We don't know what they're asking him to do. I mean, some of these other guys are out there. They haven't ran some of this offense either. That's what, Devontae Adams like, yeah, man, I know this offense. Like, it's 90%, man. I just go out there. Well, yeah, Devontae, we know you know it. But, like, the rest of the team doesn't. The quarterback's got to get on the page with some of the other wide receivers. Like even Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker has never ran an offense like this. I mean, he just got used to playing in the Patriots offense, right? And that's what they did last year. So it is going to be a lot slower. And I'm sure at the beginning of the year, if Luke Getsy is smart, it will be a lot simpler, right? And then we will add in more things as the year goes along and, keep that going and keep things lifting and get more creative. But that's what it is. I mean, it's more about the pass game because I think the run game is going to be fine. They got the wide zone going. They're going to be fine on offense there, but it's just kind of the struggle of coming in there and learning a new offense on the fly a little bit. But we'll see in training camp. I mean, it could be also that the defense just might be really damn good, which there's a lot of ways to look at this if you want to kind of even freak out a little bit about the offense struggling.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at a defense that had a hot end of the season. They really only had one stinker, I thought, at the end of the year, and that was against the Colts. And they ended the season well. Again, continuity. What I loved is to hear how like amazing Christian Wilkins looks right now. Like I love hearing that. I know again it's offense. We're in the AFC. We have to beat Mahomes. It's like hearing about Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby like setting the standard for the defense and everybody being competitive because of that rather than a one-man show. That to me is really, really encouraging to hear. And it's like that's a high priced defensive tackle. Like we signed guys like Warren Sapp back and they hope that they still cared about football. But you sign a guy like Christian Wilkins where you're like, no, this guy lives and breathes it. He's gotten better every year that he's played in the NFL, and it looks like that's going to continue to be the case with him and Max Crosby. And again, an ascending Tyree Wilson, hopefully. Malcolm Kuntz on his way to perhaps a career season. Those things are exciting to me right now. And if the offense is slow, look, if you look throughout NFL seasons traditionally, unders hit in the first like 4 to 5 weeks of the season. That's because a lot of teams are installing new things or just have new players or anything like that. It seems like it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I see that question. How hard is it to learn an NFL offense? I mean, it's not that it's hard because, like I said, it's always the same kind of stuff, right? It's not the routes. It's not what it is. It's learning which name it is for this offense. And then, the offensive line, they got to know the protection call. I mean, that's really what they got to know. But the quarterback has to know all of it, right? Quarterback has to know every single thing that's happening. I know wide receivers, they could hear just one word and they could just like run out the huddle. Like literally, they could hear like the one word of the play.
Yeah.
They're out. They don't, some wide receivers do that. If you see somebody leave the huddle first, it's a wide receiver because he's going to hear it. Okay, ex Mexico. Then I'm going to go over here. He knows what that is. He knows what Mexico means. So it's a lot more for the quarterback to learn. It's harder for them to learn than like probably a wide receiver, even though you want to hear the calls because there's probably, especially in the West Coast offense, there's going to be two calls, tight end. There's going to be a run play, tight end to a pass play. And it's going to be one long run play pass call. So yeah, it's a little different, in Erhardt Perkins, it's a lot simpler. It's not really though. It's more of a simpler language, but in your head, it's more things that you have to do with your brain. But with the West Coast, there's more plays and words inside of the language. So you hear like, the ex Mexico's Z curl. I'm saying, and you have to do this long kind of worded out play because it's so detailed with the play calling, so everybody knows what everybody's doing. But I mean, so it's a little tougher on the quarterback than it is on the rest of the players. So probably on the offensive line too, it's gonna be a little tougher on them. But the wide receivers, I mean, they should pick it up quick. I mean, those are the guys you really should, especially if you're a veteran. But like somebody like Trey Tucker, it might take him a while. But if you're a vet like Jacoby Myers, it's still going to be crazy to him though. It's going to be like, what does that mean? Like this isn't. So, but we'll see how this is going.
In that time, can somebody like Jacoby Myers, who gets lauded for his blocking and willingness to kind of be selfless, like in that time, you would think that Jacoby Myers can go out there and just hunt, right? Or is that part of it tough too?
Sorry, say it one more time.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is in that time, let's say it is tough for Jacoby Myers because he spent so many times, so many years in the is the blocking going to be tough for him in that, because that's what he gets lauded for, is his ability to say, I'm not going to need high volume catch. I will go out there and lay somebody out. Is that part tough to do too?
I wouldn't say that. I think, understanding how the run game works will probably be the same, even though I think, the Patriots offense has some different wording for those runs. And I think the West Coast is more of a simple with the run games for you to understand. So he should be able to pick that up quick. It's just more about like where he lines up. He's probably going to line up all over the place. He's not going to line up just in the slot. He's going to line up outside as well. Because you talk about he's a lot of inside to help with the run game. It depends on what they want to do in 12 personnel. Is it going to be him out there, or is it going to be somebody else? How are they going to mix that up with him? But it shouldn't be hard on him for the run game. It just shouldn't, because it's not going to be that much different. I mean, they have some different wording, but no, it'll be fine. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not panicking too hard. It's an install. It's an install for one side of the ball, and that's what we're. I don't know that it's going to take a full year like Erhardt Perkins, right? Like they always talk about like how long it takes for that. I think once it's installed, I would hope that it's ready to go by the start of the season, or even a couple weeks into the season. Maybe you see some clunky plays in the first couple games. People will panic. There's going to be the Twitter clips and stuff. That's just the way the world works right now. It's why, again, football is king. But if they can manage to run the ball, James Craig looks like he's pretty excited about his offensive line group. Like really excited. And like he was talking about watching the Raiders in that Chiefs game when they were preparing for the Chiefs, because he was the Niners coach, and he was like, man, that's a heck of a group. And I think it's a group that got better. So if that group can figure this out and they can run the ball early, I mean, this whole thing comes down to running the ball. I feel like even beyond the quarterback battle. Now, long term, they're going to have to figure out quarterback. But for this season, if they can run the ball, they'll do damage.
Yeah, I still think they should, sign Dante Foreman. I mean,
is he still? He's not on a roster.
No, he's not on a roster. He won't be on a roster till week 4, and then he'll get 800 yards.
I thought somebody got him. Okay, but that's no. I agree. Like there's room for a guy like that here, and yeah, I thought it says he's on the Browns.
Oh, is he on the Browns? He got signed?
Yeah, I got mad when he got signed. I remember what like I was like kind of like, probably was the only person in the world that was mad that he didn't play for my team. But I was just like, this guy's a good player.
Yeah.
But that's a crowded running back room they got there. So maybe.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Especially Dylan Lobby getting first team snaps. That was super interesting this week. A lot of first team snaps for Dylan Lobby.
I have an interesting take when we get to some Brock Bowers stuff. An interesting take. Then Dylan Lobby's name will come up. So.
All right. But I think that's super interesting too, because just for him to be a 6th round pick and already be getting first team snaps, I mean, it kind of just shows he's already made the team. So we could just kind of eliminate that.
For sure.
So,
and I think he's a 5th rounder. I think he's a 5th rounder too. So, a little earlier.
Yeah. No, tell me Eichenberg. Oh, you mean like just overall or just like
Oh, was Dylan Lobby 6th round? Yeah, I guess he was. Tommy was 5th. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, so him getting first team snaps is very interesting because somebody has to go because obviously he is on this football team. So we'll see what happens with this running back room. Alex Madison is not something I'm very excited about, but they might go veterans with some of this, some of this stuff, and you just kind of eat that, and they won't realize that he's not good until he starts playing, and sometimes that happens with NFL teams. The veteran, he just looks good in practice, but come on, bro, let's go young, but we'll see how that goes. With that, let's get to some of these questions, bro. Just make sure I didn't miss any questions here. No, good. All right. So, does the verberosity, that's a nice word right there, of the West Coast plays have special implications for playing on the road? Yeah, it does. It does, especially if you don't have like a guy who's very loud and kind of getting everybody together. You need a leader for the West Coast offense, really, because you have to get those guys in there, and they have to hear the play call.
Yeah,
and it's long.
It's like you're a teacher at that point. Like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta say Scat 50 Archer, X Mexico, West Z Curl. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to say that whole thing and get these guys all on the same page. And like I said, I mean, Devontae Adams, he's gonna hear Z Curl, he's gonna run. He'll just go out to the outside. He's not gonna listen to protection. And a lot of wide receivers are like that, but it's long, man. It's long, especially if you are like because a lot of these guys are probably analytical guys and they just want to learn everything. Yeah, you have to learn every single part of it. And a good example is when Tank Dell was talking about it, because CJ Stroud was talking about it, and like he's more of like a quarterback. He could just pick up anything, right?
He's smart.
Tank Dell still seemed like he was confused on the couch when he was talking to the $1 Million Game podcast. He really just seemed confused just talking about it. He's like his brain was starting to hurt, and that's how it is. And he played pretty well. So it's gonna take some time. Those guys learn a new offense too, and it's, to me, like I said, it's on the play caller early on. There's a lot of things in the West Coast offense that like everybody does, and I know they want to do some really cool stuff, and I'm against throwing all the cool stuff out early because that's what Mike McDaniel does, and then it's week 11.
Agreed.
And then you have nothing in the bag. John Gruden used to do that too. This is why the Raiders used to have these great starts, because John Gruden just threw his whole bag at the NFL. This is his everything that he thought of and everything he studied in the summer and in spring. You threw it at the NFL and then by the time you get to week 11, you just have nothing left. So
I agree.
Yeah, and the good play callers, you got to put it out there, right? And Mike McDaniel's a great play caller, but he's a show off play caller. That's what I want to take that back.
Yeah, and you want to drop 60 in week 2, because you emptied the clip on a team, which is again, they did it to the Broncos and I laughed. I mean, that's cool, but the idea is early, I want to be better than the other team. I want to run the plays that were working in camp, working here. You want to run at them and just go, look, like I know that I can run this play. It runs well, and even if the other team might have an idea that that's what's coming, it's still better than some of these crazy exotic packages like wide receiver passes and all these crazy things that's the stuff you break out when teams think that you have them figured out. It's just like the McDaniels third down trick plays that you'd see like once a game. It's like, dog, like I know that's coming.
As soon as they hit the 50, man, here comes a trick play. A trick play is coming.
So weird. And it was on third down a lot of times. Bust that out on first.
The McDaniels 50-yard line trick play.
And don't involve Devontae Adams in them. I've never seen a guy when Devontae Adams, when they used to run the trick plays kind of with him with McDaniels, it reminded me of Randy Moss on the Raiders, where he was just like, I don't want to do this at all. I hate my life. And that was my thing. Like, all right, yeah, I'm hoping Getsy, and again, Bears fans will tell you he's terrible, but I think a lot of times, like, I think he's simple a little bit. Like, a lot of his stuff is really simplistic in terms of play calling. Obviously, the verbiage, like you were saying, is the hang up for a lot of guys learning it. But I'm hoping it's just like, look, we're better. We've got Jackson Powers Johnson, Andre James, Dylan Parham in his right spot. Let's just go beat these teams. Let's just go beat them. We're better. We're better than these guys. And I think as Raider fans, when we watched that, we're like, why are we getting cute? Physical football. Yeah. Antonio Pierce is our coach. We're shouting Raiders, smoking cigars. Let's just go beat their ass.
Yeah, because when I was doing Aiden O'Connell, man, I was doing that breakdown. I had to watch the Colts game again. They had that 3rd and 1 on like the 40. And they did a trick play. Like, run the ball. Just like, why? They like throw it to Aiden O'Connell, and then it wasn't open, and then Aiden O'Connell to throw it across the field. It was just stupid.
It's panicking. That's the thing. It's like showing everybody that you're panicking. That's what I hate about it. It's like we got to do like the most to try to get a yard when it's like, no, you don't.
Oh, yeah, man, it was bad. How many carries would you give Bowers? I'm gonna say 20.
So, are we talking direct snap or in the backfield? Because I have an issue with direct snap right now. Like, direct snap, I don't do that right away.
Both.
No, I just mean you're gonna like 20 carries, yeah, maybe here and there. Direct snap, it's like rookie tight end is a tough position to learn, and you're gonna ask a guy to learn a snap count too, and a cadence, and all these. Man, look, he might be that good, and I think he is that good. I just don't want to blow a red zone thing where a fumbled snap hits off his chest and stuff. I'll be pissed. Because it is tough. TJ Hawkinson, all these guys, like, they did struggle a bit year one, and these guys are great tight ends. And I know Bowers is a bit different, bit more of a receiver, bit more of an agile player, but I'd like to see him more in that Kyle Juszczyk style role, like down in the red zone and stuff like that. To me, I feel like it's a little bit more fail safe. Early.
I don't know. I think you gotta give him at least 15. I need at least 15. Keep teams on the edge. That's what I think you could do with him, though. Because if you start running, and honestly, I think you should run it something with him carrying the ball early. Because what that does is that puts that on film, and the teams have to worry about it.
And then play fake it and wheel route. I would do a fake, jet sweep. I think he's money on a jet sweep. And then you can play fake that. He runs the wheel route wide open, like those plays. That's what I want to see. I'm just scared of the direct snap. I'm like, look, I know he did it at Georgia, but I'm scared of that early.
Okay.
I'm scared of that early. Late in the year, hey, if he's if this dude's him and Andre James are hanging out and making plays together, BM, businessman. Jeez, Devontae. I don't think Devontae realized what the joke was there, why that nickname is like kind of, but hilarious.
Yeah, for sure, man. I thought that was weird. But whatever. All right. they still haven't added a vet QB. Do you think they're going to at this point? To be honest, it's still early June. Okay, so we got to keep it real. It's still early June. They still have time to sign a veteran corner. I think that there's still a chance that they do this. And to be honest, going over minicamp film, and people talk about OTAs ain't important, but it is for the team because they can go over this and be like, hey, we need somebody. And also, to me, they just don't have any depth.
Yeah.
There. They have no depth. And they need more depth to me because you just imagine it. If, let's say, I'm not going to say this out loud, but just imagine if some corners got injured, right?
Don't say it out loud. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say names because the names makes it worse.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Some corners, because it could be anybody. So some corners get injured, right?
Yeah.
There's no depth there for us to fill it in. Like at safety, there's more depth. I just feel more comfortable there. Like, those type of things would happen.
Yeah, I don't want Faison and Ja'Cory Bennett starting a game. Like, it's just that those are the things. Like, maybe those guys are killing it right now, but if it's Faison and Ja'Cory Bennett, or if you have to bring up Cornell Armstrong, if you have to like bring him up from like
or
that,
like you have to put Richardson or Devonshire out there, like you know what I
agreed.
mean?
Yeah, that's why Bennett. Like when you guys did your Bennett breakdown, I was like shouting as though I was part of the broadcast. I was like, "That's bad team building." Why he was out there? He's a fourth round corner. That's not what's expected year one out of fourth round corners, is to go out there and cover Stephon Diggs. That's not what's expected unless you don't have anything at the position. And that's look, there's time. What I will say is the market is stagnant. Nobody is signing these guys. So I do understand these guys are waiting till camp. They don't want to be like, what, I'm going to sign you and then you have to report to mini camp. Like, no, I do. It makes more sense for these guys. Like, okay, maybe once the dust settles, you go after a Steven Nelson stuff. We've gone over all the names. I mean, they're out there. There's good impact players. You bring one of those guys in, just one of those guys in, and even though there may not be these like game changer players, I feel so much better about this defense just with one more veteran.
Mm-hmm.
One more veteran. I would feel, I mean, to be honest, because I love the safety group, love the defensive line, really like the linebackers, love the scheme. It's not even cornerback 2. It's not even like a 2, a number you put next to the corner. It's just the group. It needs one more guy.
Yeah, it needs, to be honest, I think they need 2 more guys. I think they need to find.
Yeah.
They should probably go after somebody that maybe is a starter, but they need more veteran depth. You just can't throw a bunch of young corners out there, especially if you want to play great defense. I'm sorry, if they aren't first round picks, like you just don't want to throw them out there. So it will be
Steven Nelson retired.
Yeah, he retired, man.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Well, my apologies. Yeah.
Belichick is dating a cheerleader. So they want us to address it. Is he really?
Yeah,
like,
he is 24 years old.
Oh,
he loves football. He loves football.
Did he just get divorced? Is he recently divorced?
I probably.
Yeah, see, that's a stunt. He's stunting right there. He's
and
like...
first off, dude. Like, my thing is, like, he loves football so much, like, of course, right? He can't leave the game ever. Second, he probably subbed to the OnlyFans and then like went to the extra tier that nobody can afford, and he won like a week, So
yeah, man.
It's not gonna last long, dude. It's not gonna last long.
I don't think he expects it to. I'm telling you, man. It was just out there for the wife to see. Because I mean, the older women, they don't pull the youngies. You know what I mean?
I agree. He's just like, oh, you thought there was nothing out there for me. All right, watch. She she's a big Pat fan.
Yeah, right. She loves the rings. Loves the rings.
Exactly. So,
is it Britton Brown time finally? I don't know, man. I mean, we'll see. I like Britton Brown. No, I do. I'm not gonna lie.
But nobody talks about him. You didn't hear Cadillac Williams. None of these people ever talk about him. It's like it doesn't exist.
They don't ask about him either.
No, I know, but you figure you're like, somebody would have just been like, oh yeah, and they get asked about it. Hey, we got Britton Brown too. Don't forget about him.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, just nobody. I forget. I mean, he's a big guy. He looked good that year in preseason, but we might be getting into rest in peace George Atkinson III. Those like those backs. Corey Sheets. Remember Corey Sheets, the CFL guy? Like, there's always those camp legend guys that just, for whatever reason, don't work out. I mean, like, I'm not going to depend on Britton Brown. That's another veteran back I'd like to go after. Another veteran. I'd like to, a camp cut. It doesn't have to be a guy you bring in at training camp. Camp cut, knows the system. Go find a guy. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Zamir White is the guy. We're going to figure it out this year. He's going to get a year to be the guy. I don't want to have Alexander Madison just be the unquestioned lead back. So go get another guy too.
Yeah. Could he be our balding white Debo? He could be. Brock Bowers could be. That's the thing. If you can get creative, which I hear they're moving them all around, you can get creative with Brock Bowers, man. You can do some things.
Exactly. Like, Debo is great, obviously, with the ball in his hand, but getting the ball to him is completely on the coach. So, Getsy, if you can find ways to use Brock Bowers, I think anything other than actually throwing a pass, which I won't rule that out either. Eventually, again, not early in the year, but anything other than throwing a pass, I think he's capable of. So get creative. Don't just inline tight end him. Like, don't do what the Atlanta Falcons do with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. I saw a question. Maybe they really like Faison. I mean, they might, but I just think that the corners out there are just decent for them to pass on.
Yeah. They're better than him right now. And if they bring in one of those corners and Faison comes in and just crushes that guy, then you still have that guy as depth, the guy you brought in.
Yeah, my bad, dude. I forgot to answer this question.
Uh-huh.
Who do you guys like at QB3 or practice squad? I mean, I think. See, I mean, I heard some good things about Anthony Brown from the
Yeah.
Las Vegas website. So I don't know, maybe he wins that job over Carter Bradley. But I expect Carter Bradley at least make the practice squad. That's for sure. I mean,
I
he's
think
Gus Bradley's son. I mean, if
I think
anything, it's nepotism will take over.
yeah, the Colts might snatch him up. Again, like I said, unless he can't beat cover 3, maybe Gus Bradley's like, keep this kid away from me, man. Like he's like, but he's got a big arm. He's got probably a stronger arm than the other quarterbacks, just raw arm, as far as raw arm strength. I would say I hope it's Carter Bradley that wins the job. But if it's Anthony Brown that wins the job at 3, and then you try to keep Bradley on the practice squad, then so be it.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I'm Bradley, I try my best to stick on this roster because Aiden O'Connell, look, we're optimistic about what he might be able to do in the league as a serviceable starter. Gardner Minshew, we kind of know what that is already. That's a better path to like a late year in the year start than most teams have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we hope that's not the case. I just mean if I am Carter Bradley, I'm saying, well, I'd rather be on that team where there's really a kind of a question mark at quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more questions and we get to our next topic here. With the scheme they run defensively, could they ask more from the safeties and coverage to master corners? They could, but you're always playing with fire with safeties playing. I mean, to be honest, like they're safeties for a reason.
Exactly. A lot of them probably did play corner in high school and stuff, and then coaches were like, "We'll have you backpedal a little bit away from the ball."
Yeah, you're just playing with fire. That's all.
You're a hell of a tackler, kid. Yeah.
A lot of fire. That's what I mean. What are your thoughts on the T-Law contract, Marcus? A lot of people are way too low on him. So, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, what do you got? You got $55 million a year, right? How much guarantee did he get?
So I think it was per year because he got 200 guaranteed for 5 years. So that's 40 guaranteed a year, essentially, right? I mean, I don't know language, but I'm guessing that's about 40 guaranteed a year.
See, the thing is with Trevor Lawrence is, Trevor Lawrence, if you watch him on film, because actually, I'm going through my quarterbacks right now, and I watched Trevor Lawrence this week, and he has some amazing throws. He has just you can make a highlight reel of Trevor Lawrence. You can make him look like a top 5 quarterback, and he really is a top 5 quarterback until you get to the 20. And for some reason in the red zone, he just falls apart. He'll fumble. He'll just. I just don't know, or he'll throw a dime, but it's out of bounds too much, and he just isn't good in the red zone, and he fumbles a lot. Yeah. So he doesn't have a lot of touchdowns, and he has too many turnovers. So he is just. So whatever you say, all the cool throws that just add up, you're like, oh, that looks really cool. Oh my God, that's a great throw. Oh wow, that's a great throw. Oh man, that's a dime. And then he gets to the 20 and then he's fumble. And then the Jags. I mean, that's why he only has 21 touchdowns last year because
yeah.
So it's I don't know.
He did have, I will say, there is that clip everybody's sharing right now, the supercut of catches that should have been made, and some of those throws are pearls. I'm like, damn, that's a throw. Some of the Calvin, I always think Calvin Ridley's extremely overrated. Because I'm just man, he separates, and that's why every wide receiver thinks he's amazing because he's a great route runner. But at the catch point, I hate him. I can't stand him. I just think he does not battle well enough at the catch point. And so there were a couple plays where I'm like, that's a ball that needs to be caught if you're one of the better receivers in the league. And that's my thing. So, and with him, look, he's at a franchise that really, other than Mark Brunell, they haven't had a guy like him. So if Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback for, I'm trying to think of a team that has had quarterback, the 49ers, right? They probably would pay him, but it would be a little bit more of a battle. A team that's had a Joe Montana, a Steve Young, all these guys, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a better example than that. But the Jaguars, it's a no-brainer, dude. Because if they let him go, and he goes somewhere else and plays really well, their fan base is just going to quit. And I, as a Raider fan, I'm sympathetic to that. It's why I didn't even balk once at the Carr contract. I'm like, dude, whatever, fine.
Well, yeah, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
we haven't been to the playoffs in years. So he got us there. It's like he's gonna get paid, right?
I've seen us try to go back to the well. We're not good at it, and Lawrence would have a huge market on the free agent market. Like, people would bring him in. The Las Vegas Raiders would try to sign Trevor Lawrence.
I would be with them doing that
too. The same deal. We'd all be happy. We'd be pissed when in the games going like, Trevor, you fumbled.
Stop bubbling.
Yeah, we'd be mad, but we'd be like, yes.
Oh man,
that's what it is. The market sucks for quarterback. Dak wants 60 now. It's like there is no mid-level. I hope it pops. It's like the real estate bubble in California. Like, am I ever going to be able to buy a house? I have no idea. Is there going to be a mid-level housing market? No, of course not. But like, it's quarterbacks, and there's a lot of bad quarterbacks that make a lot of money. Trevor Lawrence isn't a bad quarterback. We haven't seen him become elite yet.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. He is. You could do a lot with Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, I think people just make too many excuses for him. Like, bro, he fumbles all the time. That's why he's not.
I agree.
That's not where he is. Where he is because he fumbles, and he like turns the ball over at the stupidest times. Yeah. So he's frustrating. Mm-hmm. He's leaning. I have my bonehead quarterback rankings, right? I have that tier.
Yeah,
he's leaning towards bonehead. He's leaning there. He's like half bonehead right now, and another year he might be a full bonehead, and it's just in him because he'll just try make a play when he doesn't have to, and like throw the ball in the air, like, bro.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think you're right. I think you're right. You watch it and you're like, why aren't you like incredible? Like, why are you not just like, wow, this is like one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen? Like, why aren't you like that? And it's a scale. We grade certain guys on different, like, certain guys that we don't expect a lot from. We're like, wow, that's a nice throw. But with Trevor Lawrence, you're like, you can't have that. So that's not. It's an economy. It's a take economy. But like, again, you have to do it if you're the Jaguars. You have to do it. You had no leverage against Trevor Lawrence.
No. Herbert's in the Alex Smith with the big arm.
He's scared to be a bonehead. Herbert's scared to be a bonehead. Herbert could use a few more like bad plays, but him trying to do things. And I'm glad. And I want him to be conservative for the rest of his career. I want him, because I do think he is like that. I think we're going to see the same thing from Bo Nix too. I think it's an Oregon thing personally, is I think they're all going to be a little bit scared. It's just a thing. Like, they're used to wide open, schemed up throws, and I don't think it's going to be the case, but we're going to hope that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, so let's get to this next time. Let's get to the Albert Breer, which is his little quote here, which I mean, Albert Breer. To be honest, it sounds like somebody from Boston. I'm just gonna say that. All right. The question on the front is, in a competitive AFC West, how long the Raiders can stay in the race? Yes, they went 5-4 in 9 games under Pierce last year. It's a reason why he got the job by doing that. And a lot of Raiders fans have said this to me, and you can argue that they got a bunch of teams at just the right time, and extending it over a full calendar are two very different things. Also believe that the roster is ways off, and the long-term quarterback for Pierce and first-year GM Tom Telesco isn't on the roster. I mean, you could make that point, right? So there's a pretty logical scenario out there where they become sellers at the deadline. And they would at very least get calls on Crosby, which doesn't mean they would trade him. He's still just 26, so it'd be different than dealing Adams or even Miller. But they would get to see his value to other teams. Like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, I'm looking up what Albert Breer said about Rich Bisaccia right now, just because I want to see if he's consistent. And he hasn't really. Yeah, he didn't say anything crazy. He just basically was just like blank reporting. Like, he got them to the playoffs and they are not hiring him as a head coach. Okay, fair. Because that's my thing, is like, okay, I think Antonio Pierce is a more viable candidate than Rich Bisaccia as head coach. I think he's younger. I think even though I think Rich Bisaccia seems like a really cool guy and stuff, I think it's worth the experiment. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think it's worth the experiment. And right now, like, players are gushing over him. And right now, all people can roll their eyes at culture. And I think a lot of the analytics content people out there are always going, oh, culture, establish the run. They always talk about it with this condescending tone. But again, they all go crazy over the Dolphins, Niners, all these teams. That's exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. But they just, for some reason, if you're a downtrodden franchise and you say you want to do that, Dan Campbell, right? If you want one direct example of what you need to be, of what Antonio Pierce needs to be, it's a Dan Campbell, right? That's exactly what he needs to be, is a powerful motivator with a GM that's picking the right players. We hope that's the case with Telesco. I've liked it so far. Again, remains to be seen. But it's a part of the range. This could fail. Like it's people pointing out that it could fail. I'm not going to be the guy saying it won't be, but I haven't seen anything so far to suggest that it will. That's the thing. Like, people are acting like there's all of these things out there to say that it will. They point at the Vikings game. They point at the second half of the Chiefs game, which they won. And then they point at, the Dolphins game, these other games that they lost. Yeah, they were bad losses, but I'm sorry. They had the worst culture in the league last year under Josh McDaniels. They have a chance to have the best culture in the league right now. They already have the great facilities. People like playing and having their checks signed by Mark Davis. That's objectively true. So I think it's better to be slightly optimistic right now. And Antonio Pierce is not coming in as a dictator. He wants to listen to his elders and all that stuff. He's kind of crowdsourced, which some people might see as a weakness. I do not. So it's an unknown territory, but I'm leaning optimistic because, for one, that's how I get through the summer. Two, we did see some nice wins last year that the Raiders would have tricked off under Pierce, and that's without an offseason.
Yeah, I mean, they win the Arrowhead and shut down Mahomes. They basically
come on.
The reason the Chiefs won a Super Bowl is because of the Raiders went and kicked their ass. So I don't understand this, like, the way they talk about AP, because it's not just like Albert Breer. Like, I was reading this Yahoo podcast. I actually wrote an article about it for like silver linings, and they were talking about like I guess the players like him. It's like, what? Like, isn't that important?
That's a bad thing that the players like him. They should hate him like Josh McDaniels. They should hate the coach just like that. We've seen how that works. Jeez.
Like, what? Especially these days, right? Like, and in this climate, like maybe in the 80s, you could hate your coach, like everybody, you could hate Bill Parcells, and you could still win championships. Like these people coming up, they have to like their coach. So like that is a big deal if they like their coach. It's like that thought process is so stupid to me. Like, what? I guess they like him. I mean, I don't know why. I wouldn't. Like what, bro? Like
they have as much to base their claims on as we do ours, and they act like they have the dominant. And look, what they're basing it on is that the Raiders have sucked for the last couple decades. That's all they're saying. Is that they're just saying, and look, as a betting person, if I wasn't a Raider fan, I'd probably say the same thing. But I have some friends who come up to me that are like Niner fans who would normally clown. They're like, hey, I like AP. And it looks like this actually looks like a franchise that like isn't what it normally is. And look, we might have a different take 6 months from now, but as of now, I have nothing to suggest. There's nothing to suggest other than the obvious need at quarterback, which we all identify. We all agree that they're going to probably need to make a big move at some point for a quarterback. That wasn't available. So right now, I just think culture-wise, you cannot knock what they're doing as a culture. It's just, I'm sorry, you can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, questioning Aiden O'Connell, it doesn't bother me, right? Like, you can say like the Raiders don't have a long time quarterback, but it's just like Mina Kimes is the only one that actually talked about the Raiders having a great defense. Like, I feel like nobody talks about that.
Yeah,
like it's just like the untalked about thing. A nerd would tell you that defenses don't change from year to year, but for some reason the Niners do, nerd. So like it's
I'm sick of the nerds, dude. I'm sick of the nerds, dude.
I'm sick of nerds too, bro.
I say this as somebody who reads all the time. Like I am a bit of a nerd, like, and I nerd out about football, but I like that whole like smarmy, like taped glasses take that they do all the time. I can't stand it, dude. Like I can't stand it. Again, anything. Look, Jim Harbaugh gets hired with the Chargers, and all we hear about is the things that he's changing the culture. He's establishing the run. They don't have wide receivers. They have nothing over there. They have Justin Herbert, and that's literally Justin Herbert and a couple players that are like fossils of the Telesco era, who is now on the Raiders, by the way. And so we hear about this. Oh, Harbaugh's going to come in and do this and do that. Everybody gets sick of Harbaugh after a couple of years, dude. So, like, if they don't win in the next couple of years, which it's the Chargers, I'm sorry, they have as much bad track record as the Raiders do, and it's more Shakespearean, to be honest, because it's all these injuries and weird stuff. So, to me, I just look, the Raiders have to win. Winning cures all. People are going to make these blind, lazy takes about the Raiders because they don't win, and a lot of times they're right. But I think right now it's like, look, I don't need them to be over the moon about them. They don't need to be oh, the Raiders are going to win these games. I don't like that either. But all they have to do is go like, hey, they're building something over there, because that's actually true, I think.
Yeah, man, it's just so stupid. I don't know. I just feel like that just kind of just dismissing him is just dumb.
And he's not a rah-rah guy, right? Like, he's one of those guys, when you hear about the coaches, they say he just stands there in a hoodie on the sidelines. He talks after. Like, he talks to the media. He does all these things. Like, he's not one of those, like, jumping in and, like, doing all these hand signals in front of everybody. Like, I don't even think they know exactly what Antonio Pierce is. That's what's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, we might have something. I don't know. I actually, my profile picture on Twitter is someone that AI imaged him with the Caesar thing on. So I'm a little high on him. But I'm just saying, like, what am I supposed to say is bad that he's done so far?
It's just weird. I just don't understand. I don't understand the thought process with him, because basically what he really is he's a cool Tom Coughlin.
Okay,
so,
I like it.
I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he is trying to be Tom Coughlin, but cooler. Like, what if Tom Coughlin, was cool?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically his whole thought process. And then, Tom Coughlin called him when he was doing smoking cigars in the locker room and stuff. So he talks to Tom Coughlin. It's an advisor for him, right? That's his boy.
What do you think Tom Coughlin said on that phone call? I just called the fire department. This will not stand. Anthony,
the most boomer phone call ever, right?
Like, it was like a rap video from the 2000s where the guy knocks on. Will you turn that down? They throw him in a garbage can, like.
Oh man, so true. But yeah, but that's what he is, and people aren't seeing that. All they see is the videos the Raiders put out, right? But they don't see the inside where it really is. That's what he's trying to be. He's trying to be Tom Coughlin, but cooler. See, we even got a nickname here, Compton Tom.
I like it.
We got a nickname here, guys. This is what we do here at TDL Friday Night.
It started here. If anybody runs
Compton
with it
Tom.
Started here. Yeah,
Compton
you gotta get the screenshot.
Tom.
The screenshot is there. Timestamp, the date. Anybody tries to run with that, Albert Breer all of a sudden talking about how Compton Tom. I love Compton Tom. I've always loved him. Yeah. All right. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah.
Compton Tom. I'm just saying. It's true.
I hope they come out and just bully teams this year. Even if it's 9 and 8 year or whatever, but they establish something that I like to see on Sundays, and then they go make that big move at quarterback. Like, to me, that's all I need to see, man. Like, that's where we're at right now, and they act like they're so far away. That's what I hate. I don't think they're that far away.
They aren't, right? Especially on defense. So that's the thing. I mean, maybe we could talk about the quarterback position all day. Right. I mean, they weren't able to get a quarterback this year. If they do get to 9 and 8, 8-9, they might not be able to get a quarterback next year. They might pay Dak. Who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, Matthew Stafford might be available. Is he got repaid yet? He's sitting out, right?
Josh Allen, I'm telling you, the Bills meltdown. It'll happen. I'm telling you, the Bills go 7-10. Miss the playoffs. Josh Allen's like, I hate this weather, and then he goes to Vegas.
We're gonna give you credit, Organic. We got you, man. We got you.
Organic. You got it. You did make that up. That is wonderful. Thank you. I have not seen that before. So
yeah, we'll give you that. See, the thing is with Dak, Dak's just older, and Dak is a leaning bonehead too. That's the problem with Dak. But Dak's really good though.
He makes this team a playoff team, in my opinion. That's the thing. That's what he does. He makes them a playoff team. You become a different tier I like Dak a lot too. Again, I'll bring it up all the time. Everyone hates to hear it. Connor Cook was drafted over Dak Prescott. A lot of problems get solved if the Raiders drafted Dak Prescott. So should have drafted him. He is. Oh, it's weird. When you play for the Cowboys, you can be overrated and underrated at the same time. Like you can be
100%.
overrated because everyone talks about you. You're the lead story. Skip Bayless, all this stuff. He's throwing his jerseys in the trash. Like you become a content machine essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can also be underrated where you're like, okay, that guy's not that bad. You know, like they're trying to like execute him at halftime, like in a medieval fashion. You're like, okay, relax. He's not that bad. And I like that, but Dak has his problems. He has his limitations. He looks like a robot in the playoffs, whereas he looks really fluid and good. And you know, but look, he wants like 60 million a year, and I'd let him hit the market and be like, I'll give you half of that if you want to come try to win something.
Yeah.
I'll give you 30 a year if you want to come try to win over here.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want to pay Dak 60. You're too old for that, man.
No, he's not going to get it. I mean, that's that. Like CJ Stroud's going to get 65 guaranteed a year. I think, like guaranteed. Like where, like it, you know, incentive wise might be more. Whereas Trevor Lawrence is getting 40, like something guaranteed a year. Dak is not going to match the CJ Stroud number. The age and is not going to work, right? Like he thinks he's going to get that. Jerry might try something, but. Let's give Aiden and Minshew a chance, man. Like let's figure it out. We all know there's a need there. Let's just see what happens. Let's see if we can stumble into a good offense, you know.
Yeah, and when you talk about Dak too, I mean the Cowboys just have a weird organization over there. I mean, they guys complain about like the fans can like watch them practice, they like watch them do like the tour. It's a weird thing over there, and so. It's
Vegas is different. Yeah, Vegas is a better good. I think Vegas is a good selling point for guys who want to like you're still going to like have a prime time location facility and everything, but you're not going to have, you know, fans coming from like all over the world to like watch you through like an aquarium window. You know,
this is an interesting one.
No.
You say no? I would do it.
I don't think he's good. I think we're gonna see a sharp decline of Geno Smith. Look, it was a nice rebound of his career. He's got a big arm. I think he's gonna miss. I don't know. I think he's gonna fall off a little bit. That's just me.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind Geno Smith. I wouldn't mind it. It wouldn't bother me too much. All right, so we got offensive line is set. I saw somebody shout me out about Dylan Parham.
You killed it. You died as soon as I saw that. I was like, man, James Craig has been watching tape. I mean, the thing about that is like what happened was Dylan Parham is back on the right side where Marcus has been saying for years he needs to be since he was drafted. And then I will say this, like you saw it, but you knew that any competent person would be able to identify that. So that means there's a competent person there.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's good news.
It's just like, bro, like, yeah, he's more comfortable on the right side. So especially in our Wyatowski, like, yeah, he probably went to watch like some film of him, put the Chargers game on for 2022. It's like, man, this guy's not. You guys are worried about this guy? Like he's probably asking questions. Like what the hell? Why did they move him? Because I have no idea why either. No idea. So it's just the stupidest thing I ever heard. Man. It's just I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, yeah. So I'm optimistic about this offensive line. I am.
Oh, I am too. Yeah, I do like this offensive line. I think they have a chance to be pretty damn good. Doing some, kind of think outside zone. I worry about Thayer Mumford a little bit in outside zone, but if they feel like he's fine, and that's why I thought it was interesting where he said like Thayer Mumford's a left tackle instead of a right tackle. I thought that was interesting when he said that. But I mean, to be honest, like, why would you say that? And how would you know that too? And like, what's your plan here? Like, you get throw Crow Miller at the right because he's played right before. I was thinking, like, what does that mean? Like, why would you even say that? He's not gonna play left though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It was weird, but I think I'm interested to see how he handles this and that transition to outside zone. But Jackson Powers Johnson's a stud. I mean, the run game is going to be so good. If he can stay healthy, it's going to be crazy. So,
and it sounds like Jackson Powers Johnson got onto the field, which is really good news because you would think with this time off and everything, he'll be able to get healthy. And if he gets a training camp, like a full training camp in, I'm not worried whatsoever because I do expect him to make an impact year one. Jackson Powers Johnson, I think even more than Brock Bowers, I expect him to like really come in and start and win a starting job and go play and make an impact and be a kind of a guy that pops out on film because I think his big wins are going to be like where he drives the guy like through the ground and everybody's like, oh man, like this not who is this guy? Everybody knows who he is. All the draft people were big on him as like a first round pick, but if he's able, that solves so many problems if Jackson Powers Johnson solidifies the left guard position. Like and Colton Miller, get healthy. Hopefully that doesn't become a nagging thing. He is getting a slightly older, but with Andre James, who looks like a steal money wise right now, I've gone full circle on Andre James, especially when he's talking about UFOs. That was kind of cool. But with him, it's like, man, we're getting him for about $8 million a year when these other guys are getting almost close to 20, like these big, 15, 20 million a year. It's like, and then Jackson Powers Johnson could, if he gets hurt, could play center, which is really, really important. So I like the versatility. I think they're athletic. I think they're going to get them out in space. And I think you're going to see a big, strong back in Zamir White, who is ascending, and that could be kind of special.
Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting with the offensive line. As long as Cody Whitehair doesn't get out there, because that was some bad tape, man. I just hope he doesn't play like that.
Okay. Much. We'll see. Pete and Whitehair, we've had worse depth.
I like Pete's great depth. Whitehair is just, I hope Whitehair gets cut. I hope Jordan Meredith has a great preseason. That's what with Whitehair.
Yeah, there is. I mean, they do. The last regime liked him, so we'll see. We'll see with Meredith. Yeah,
we'll see with Jordan Meredith. Jordan Meredith, he's the underdog who always finds a way on this team. All right, so let's get some over-unders, man.
Let's do it, dude.
Let's do it. Let's start with Gardner Minshew. So I didn't do stats with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah,
I did starts.
It's kind of where we are right now.
Right. So I think I went a little high. But here we go. So Gardner Minshew over under 6 games.
God, I hope it's under. I mean, I don't hate the guy. People, it's like, it's not a weird doppelganger. We're not doppelgangers. We're not like evil to each other. Like, I just mean, I want Aiden to win this job, man. Like, I just want him to go out there and play good football. So, and provided that he's healthy, I'm hoping it's also not an injury situation. I'm going to say under. Please, like, just for the love of God, please just be under.
Okay. Yeah. I want it to be under. I do really want it to be under. So I'm going to go under too. To be honest, I think even if he started the season, because with the way the schedule looks, I don't think he'd be playing that long. And the reason why is because, the way Stitch's system was, like, when I even watch, because I watch Anthony Richardson too. Last week, I watched a lot of Anthony Richardson, and it's just so easy for them. It really is. Like, the way Stitchen calls plays and runs RPOs and runs kind of a college style offense, it makes easy completions for even like somebody like Anthony Richardson, who has some accuracy issues. He still was able to make a lot of easy completions because Steichen, I think he's Steichen.
Shane Steichen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shane Steichen. Sorry, guys. Whatever. He's not
German. He's a German. Yeah.
The German name. Steichen.
Yeah.
He has some great play calls that set up the quarterback. So, I think Anthony Richardson can play a lot better than people think. Too, that's a different conversation. But I think even if he won the job, he wouldn't be playing long. So I'm going under, regardless, because to me, like I said, if he won the job, I don't think he plays that long.
Yeah,
I would give him, like, it would be enough to where, like, Devontae Adams would like go into Antonio Pierce's office week 3, that type of thing with Minshew. Because I mean, Yeah, I mean, does Minshew have a lot of cool stuff where he's like running and doing all these things, and he's gutsy. Sure, that's fine. But they used to rush Anthony Richardson back way too early, in my opinion. They were trying to rush him back, and you could think about that however you want, but they were really like making sure that Anthony Richardson got back on the field as quickly as possible. They won a game against the Ravens in Baltimore. And they're like, you know what, Anthony Richardson, you're right back in as soon as he's healthy. And that kind of tells you what the Colts really thought of him, or even what Steichen really thinks of him, So
Yeah. No, I think with Minshew, I like him more so coming in and I again don't want to speak this into existence, but starting quarterbacks take some hits sometimes where they need some time on the sidelines. Maybe a drive needs to be run by Minshew. I like him coming in relief. I think he's an excellent relief pitcher. I think he could come in and similar. Like you made the comp to Mariota. I know he doesn't play the same, but I think there's the same energy on the field where it's chaotic, crazy, but like a big play can happen. And that's kind of what you want as a guy. It's like, okay, Aiden took a sack. He's in the medical tent, and maybe he's out for the rest of the game or something. Again, we don't want that to happen, but that's where I like Minshew coming in. And that doesn't count as a start, so that wouldn't count in the over-under. But I'd like to see Minshew really be used in that way. But now, again, Aiden has to go win the job. If he doesn't win the job, then it's Minshew, and we'll take whatever comes to us,
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw someone point out, that, Minshew took the most first team snaps on Tuesday. That's why I'm taking it a little bit more serious, because obviously if they're doing that, then they're taking him more serious than I really want them to, which just scares me a little bit. Which means that they think they could win with him, which I don't know how much of that is really true, because the Colts played the Texans in that last game, right? And even in the game against the Raiders, which I'm actually gonna do a breakdown of that game, kind of showing what Malcolm Kuzi's get better at, because they were like, Max Crosby, you can beat us. We're gonna stop Malcolm Kuntz, which I just thought was super interesting. But with how the Colts beat the Raiders, and even in that game, it just felt like he didn't do anything. Like, I don't know what he really did. I mean, he made like two throws that the Raiders blew a couple coverages on. Like Amik Robinson had no idea what he's doing, and then Jack Jones blew a coverage. And for some reason, they didn't call a single pass interference on the Raiders, but they called every pass interference on the Colts. So it was just a weird game to watch. And it's like, how did they even win some of the games that they won? And it's really because they got a great coach over there in Indy. And that's really what it is. And I'm not saying AP is not it doesn't have the potential to be a great coach and they can't win with him.
He's not calling plays.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's not calling plays. No, it's a different thing, right? That is like the case for the offensive minded coach, is like he calls the plays and he's there for as long as you keep him employed, and that's your play caller. But, there's a comment from great username, Raider Nation. He says that he thinks Minshew's going to have to take the job from Aiden, which I still think is the case. I still think is the case. And it doesn't sound like he's like taking the job right now. It doesn't sound like he's taking it. It sounds like they're trying him out a little bit. Again, when training camp comes, we're going to see. Like, we're going to see right away. And really, whoever's playing in the preseason, if Aiden's playing the bulk of the preseason snaps, like I made the joke last time, if he's whipping people with the towel on the sideline, laughing in a baseball hat, then you know who has the job. But right now in minicamp, I get why you want to try things out, and you're all just, again, who's absorbing the verbiage now, who's doing the, that's what it comes into right now.
Yeah.
In training camp, I think is where you're going to see, and preseason is where you're going to see who comes out there and plays. Because I don't know if it's going to be a battle in preseason games. I don't know if you're going to get a quarter of Minshew, quarter of O'Connell. I don't know if it's going to work that way.
Yeah. It seems like he was better than AOC was for KC. To be honest, I would debate you on that, because he has the most egregious miss I've ever seen against the Raiders. Like one of the most egregious misses of a quarterback I've ever seen in my life. And like Alex Pierce was literally running by him. So there was nobody around Alex Pierce. And he like stared at a check down. He just like stared at it and just like he like hitched like 3 times and threw the check down. And all he had to do was just look up. So all he had to do was just look up, and he had Antonio Pierce. He could have, Alex Pierce, not Antonio Pierce, Alex Pierce. He could have threw the ball, and he could have waited for it by himself for like 2 seconds and still ran for a touchdown. That's how wild he was.
Also, the thing is Minshew with me is still the turnovers, and I disagree at the Kansas City game. I think he turns the ball over against Kansas City, which is the one thing Aiden O'Connell didn't do in that game that actually kept them in the game is he did not turn the ball over. Yes, he missed some huge throws. You highlighted it in your breakdown this week. They were awful. Like, it was awful, but throwing it to the other team is what I think Minshew would have done at some point. Yes, maybe he would have run into a touchdown. That's correct. I think that might have happened, but I think he might have run into a couple interceptions, an interception or two, and
or fumbled too.
Like something weird like that. They are completely different quarterbacks, so it's interesting. It is interesting, and like I said, I think most Raider fans hope that Aiden wins the job.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. All right, this is a good question before we get to next. Brock Bowers here. Does Marvin Lewis become defensive coordinator if Graham leaves? Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
I'll say this: I'm really impressed by this Rob Leonard guy.
Okay.
I think he's defensive line coach right now. Man, hearing him talk, he's had a track record. He was with Miami, getting there. Jalen Phillips developing. He was with New York Giants for a while, and hearing him speak, I mean, the guy's on it and everything. Look, maybe it's Marvin Lewis. I'm not saying there's no chance. Of course, there's a chance for that because that's something you're gonna have to replace year in and year out. And offensive coordinator, sadly, that's the one disadvantage I think truly of hiring Antonio Pierce is you will have to replace both coordinators if you're any kind of good. John Harbaugh has the same problem in the Ravens, so you kind of have he's a special teams coach. So, he's gonna. The other coaches have this too. It's not, but I like Rob Leonard, and I see Strami saying Gerald Alexander too. Both of those guys are very interesting, and I think if Rob Leonard has his defensive line playing like really elite football, he's got to look like he's young. And I don't know how old he is, but he's been in the league. He said 12 years, but he doesn't look more than 40, 45 years old.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting person. And I know people are hyping Patrick Graham up for for head coach, but I know he got 2 interviews with Seattle, but we'll see, we'll see. Defensive coaches, like Mike McDonald, those guys get jobs, but like you got to have we'll be happy. I'll say this. We'll be happy to lose Patrick Graham because that means we had like the number 1 defense, I think, if he gets a head coaching job. Like straight up.
Yeah. All right. So we do some Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is next. Over under Brock Bowers. So I kind of stuck with the same for Michael Mayer. So over under 500 yards, 40 receptions. What are you thinking?
So I have him at I tweeted this the other day. I had him at about 600-ish yards. I got him about 53 receptions and about 6 touchdowns. And I think a lot of fans would be disappointed by that.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be. I think his position is going to be weird year one. I think people are going to be like, where's Brock Bowers early? But my boy Michael Mayer's going for 1,000 yards this year, dude. Where are the targets? Devontae Adams, 1,000 yards. Michael Mayer, 1,000 yards. Trey Tucker's going to have a couple long touchdowns. Zamir White's running the football. Is there 1,000 yards for Brock Bowers to have year one? Probably not. And I think that's okay. Now, if he comes in and takes like stuff to the house and gets his totals up, like, hey, we're all welcome to it. I don't want fans to panic if that's the case. Like if he just comes in, makes a few big plays, does what he does, flashes here and there, and they can use him in the slot. They can again, we're not counting rushing yards here too. What if this dude has like 180 rushing yards on the
that's what I was saying.
So maybe there's that. All purpose, we might be talking a different number. But again, he is a total Swiss Army knife on this offense, and not in the weird like Dexter McCluster way. This is a real Swiss Army knife, and those guys are more useful in today's NFL.
To be honest, I think the guy who's going to get filtered out of this, and I'm going to go, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm going to go over on both of these. And the reason why, because I think the guy who's going to get filtered out of this offense is Jacoby Myers.
I think you're right.
And the reason why, because I think Trey Tucker, who AP shouted out, right? AP shouted out his growth. That's Luke Getsy's like only deep guy. And Luke Getsy loves to throw deep. I know
Michael
and I
Gallup.
keep hearing it. Yeah, Michael Gallup too, right? Michael Gallup, who we could argue who's better, right? And I think Jacoby Myers, the position that he plays, they're going to want Devontae Adams to play that, right?
Interesting.
I think the guy who gets filtered out of targets, right? Like, and this is for the fantasy people. If you guys want Jacoby Myers in fantasy, I might be wrong on this, but I think Brock Bowers replaces some of the targets that Jacoby Myers gets, right? And you got to think about it. This could be like a screen, right? This could be like something like that, or any of those type of things. So I think that's what's going to happen here, because also I think Jacoby Myers is a little bit of a Patriots guy, and that's what he kind of is. And I see somebody talking about Jacoby Myers losing targets. Is that a bad thing? I mean, it's hard for me to say because Jacoby Myers is a good receiver. I'm not going to say he's not. He's a good wide receiver, right? But I think if you have Devontae Adams and you have two young pass catchers that can both get open like he can, and you want to play 12 personnel, and you want to be able to run the football, you're going to lose some targets unless, especially if they sign Michael Gallup. And Michael Gallup's an interesting player because Michael Gallup can win deep too, right? And he had some pretty good years before he really started to get hurt. And even the film that Matt showed, there's some impressive things that he did. So he's got to worry about Michael Gallup too, but he's also got to worry about Trey Tucker. I mean, because you could talk about whatever. Trey Tucker can block. He will block. Trey Tucker is a tough
and
dude.
He got bigger too. He got like more stout tough in the off season too. Like he looks night and day different. I've seen some of the pictures. I'm like, man, that dude's a fire hydrant now too. It can run. Like, I mean, that guy's
he's tough. He will block too. He's a tough dude. If you watch him at Cincinnati, he used to block like crazy. He's a tough guy. So if he could start to eat in the Jacoby Myers snaps. So if they get into 12 personnel, you're gonna have Trey Tucker out there with Devontae Adams, so you can have a deep option. And then you have Brock Bowers in there. So that's why I think Myers just might get filtered out a little bit. Now, he's great depth. If somebody gets injured, Jacoby Myers is a great depth to have. But I just think the targets towards him will die out a little bit.
So I'll say this. I see some people saying, and I knew this would happen. People want Brock Bowers year one because the Raiders did in some of their opinion. They'll go, why do we need a tight end? Why do we need a tight end year one? That's insane. There were tackles available and stuff. Look, the pick shocked me, but I loved it. That was my thing. I was like, whoa. I mean, there's a live reaction on this channel from it where I was like, whoa. I'll say this. To say it's bad drafting is bad because if Trey Tucker ascends, that's not bad drafting. The Raiders drafted Trey Tucker. The guy's good. And then Brock Bowers could get his yards out of the slot, in my opinion, while Mayer's working in tight end. I don't understand all these people that like Austin Hooper. Like, there's always like Austin Hooper people. I'm like, look, he was okay. No. There's people saying we had Mayer and Hooper. That was fine. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like, look, Austin Hooper is like gonna be like a tight end 3 on somebody's roster next year. He's or by injury tight end 2. You have an opportunity to have 2 tight end 1s and really one offensive weapon. And in the draft, I have to hammer this home. The draft is not for this year. Brock Bowers, you're hoping by year 3 or 4 is one of the best pass catchers in the league, and that is his ceiling. Is one of the best offensive weapons in the league. Like Travis Kelce, like that is what you're betting on when you draft a guy like that. You don't pass on that. The Raiders are not in a position to pass on that. They couldn't score points last year. And if it's okay if a guy like Jacoby Myers gets phased out, and I don't mean phased out. He might still have a few touchdowns this year. He might still be on the field blocking. He might still do all this kind of things. Yes, he's making some money. And we don't know that injuries happen too. Guys get injured. If Devontae Adams gets injured, and look, you hate bringing that up. I hate speaking it into existence. If Devontae Adams gets injured, Brock Bowers becomes essential to this team.
Yeah.
Because who is the guy that goes up and catches high volume plays and has yards after the catch and does these things? Like we tend to forget that players get injured when it's June. because it's all we're reminded of during the season is injuries, because we all have fantasy lineups with red letters next to them. So I just mean it's offensive weapon, offensive. The quarterback was not available in the draft. It was not there. So you go get the offensive weapon. They need to score points. Their defense should be good.
Yeah, I mean, ask about what about the O-line for the future, right?
Sure.
So you have to understand what Brock Bowers is, right? I don't know if you guys saw the clip of the Rams on Twitter. Right? You see that clip of the Rams tried to get to 10 to get Brock Bowers. They're at 19. They called the Jets. They tried to get to 10 to take back Brock Bowers. That was their goal. They tried to jump everybody and get him at 10. So you have to imagine yourself Tom Telesco, right? Tom Telesco has no idea that Brock Bowers is going to fall to him. Yeah. And there's just Brock Bowers. And it's more about Tom Telesco, obviously, watches everybody. Yeah. Because that's the thing, right? You know, a lot of fans expect him to watch whatever needs they have. He watches everybody. And here comes Brock Bowers, and you're just staring at it. And you're like, if I don't take Brock Bowers, you know, it's that type of situation too when you're a GM. Like, if I don't take Brock Bowers here, like, am I really helping this football team? So yeah, you could take Fuaga, and that will help, and that could maybe cause a little bit of an impact on the offensive line. But you mean maybe they believe in Thayer Mumford? That's the thing with that. But because they didn't draft, I mean, they didn't draft right tackle to the third round, right? So it wasn't something that they thought was a focus for them, was a focus for us. So that's the thing you have to look at too.
And they did improve the O-line for the future. They drafted Jackson Powers Johnson. That's my thing. Like, they did that.
So yeah, I do be honest, I understand why you could be like bothered by the pick, because like, they have Michael Mayer, right? I understand. But you just have to put yourself in Tom Telesco's shoes. I mean, obviously, like I said, they watch everybody. He's got a board, and here comes you just stare at Brock Bowers. You have to decide, what do I do? And he was like, I'm gonna take him.
I just think 3 years from now, you're not gonna give a shit. If you
exactly.
Like, that's my thing. Like actually, and like I've said this before, you're going to be the guy 3 years from now if Brock Bowers is putting up 1,500 yards a year and touchdowns. You can be like, why didn't we just fucking take Brock Bowers? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't we just take him? Oh, we didn't need him. Like that's what the draft is for.
That's what Jets fans are being saying.
That's what the draft is for. You know what I'm saying? The draft is not for this year. That's why when you're starting Ja'Cory Bennett last year, you're like, oh, the draft's for this year. You know that we need all our draft guys to contribute year one. Yes, I understand. Brock Bowers was kind of a weird pick. It was strange. I didn't even fathom that, but I was like, damn, we have Brock Bowers. That's crazy. Like, we have the guy who like dominated college football at the highest level, and can score from anywhere on the field, can catch the ball and run. And again, Devontae Adams is like, I think Devontae Adams got a little jealous of Brock Bowers. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
I think he was a little like, oh, he's all business. He's this and that. Like I tried to mess around with a rookie. Like, I think people are looking at Brock Bowers like, this guy's kind of a beast, you know, like, and there's, you know, nobody wants to hype him up too much because it is tough. Year one, it's, you know, going to be weird for him because he's going to have to, learn the offense that we said was already kind of tough with verbiage and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 3 years from now, dude, we're going to be like, man, pay him. That's what we're going to be saying. Man.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I don't know. We're going to like it later on.
That's what I mean. It's like, dude, you go get, you go get the best player. And a lot of teams, if he fell to the Ravens, right? All these other teams, if he fell to them, they'd be like, how is he still there? And the Raiders just decided, hey, he's not going to be there.
To be honest, I was surprised the Chargers didn't take him. Like, dog, you're not going to take your Vernon Davis? Like, what are you doing?
Right. That's what I mean. It's like all these things. Look, look. And again, people are going to get mad year one if he has like 580 yards. Right. Yeah. Like, and like, you know, 5 or 6 touchdowns, misses a couple games to injury. Like, people are going to get mad.
Because it's the drop. If he has some drops, because that is the main thing. Is it
fumble or something like, and it's like, nah, man, we had this lottery ticket has the most odds of hitting, in my opinion, over anybody else. And he can put the ball in the end zone, which I'm sorry, you watched the Chiefs game last year. You watched all these other things. Like, you want these guys to put the ball in the end zone. You want a guy that can catch the ball on a 4-yard hitch and make 3 guys miss and walk into the end zone. That's what he does.
Yeah. This guy said, he said, to be fair, Joe, I would have passed a Joe
He's a
either.
beast.
Yeah.
No, he's a beast. He's a beast. No, I actually agree with him. I'm like, I get why they didn't. Brock Bowers is he's not Block Bowers.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It's Jim Harbaugh.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. What other questions we got here, man? Anything else here?
By the way, I have a question.
Oh yeah, what's up, man?
I asked you this in a DM. Spicy take by me. This is a spicy one.
Okay.
Who has more catches this year? Receptions, not yards, not touchdowns or anything. Dylan Laube or Brock Bowers?
Who?
Assuming he wins that third down back job, which he kind of already not has, but like he's in line to win.
I'm gonna go Brock Bowers. Just because I hope a running back doesn't have like 50 catches. So I'm not putting that energy out there.
What if he's Austin Eckler? What if he's just a monster like year one, and he's just making guys miss, and he's picking up third and eights, out of the backfield and stuff.
I was watching the Niners. I watched the Niners offense today, and I was thinking like, man, you probably could do that with Dylan Laube.
I'm telling you,
you probably could.
With Aiden O'Connell, we're we have our questions at quarterback. It's kind of like, man, we got to. Telling you, man, like Laube, I don't think of him as much of a running back carrying the ball, but like it's something to think about. I hope Brock Bowers has 50 to 60 catches this year and makes plays and takes handoffs and does all the things. But I'm like, man, Dylan Laube, there's just no competition for him at third round back unless it's Amir Abdullah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, Dylan Laube has a chance to become the most productive rookie year one on the Raiders. I'm just saying this.
He does.
Outside chance. This would start out as a gambling show. He would have huge odds that would get you a lot of money if you bet that. And I'm like, huh.
Because you have to think, if he's the third down back and it's a game-winning drive, who's going to be out there? Him.
Look, Lions game a few years back, with the best throw I've ever seen Derek Carr make was Jalen Richard on that wheel route where he dropped it in the bucket. Like, that's what I see out of Dylan Laube, is like a supercharged Jalen Richard, where I'm like, all right, there's, because Jalen Richard came from arguably a smaller school, maybe, or not smaller school. That's not fair to say. New Hampshire's smaller, but like he came from the same situation.
Yeah.
But I think Laube had better college film.
Yeah.
So
I just hope not, but you might be right.
I'm thinking about it, year one. This is not saying anything about the careers or anything. I'm just saying, like, you might be surprised like how much Dylan Laube's using this offense, and like fans will be like being real mad about like Brock Bowers not like taking over games year one and then and I'm fine with both picks. I just mean it's just plant the seed.
Be number 2 in carries. I don't know.
I don't see carries for him this year as a meaningful. Maybe later, but
yeah.
It
depends. I think he'll have a good preseason, and that's might find his way getting carries. It just depends on how Luke Getsy wants to run the offense, but I'm not gonna say he's a bad running back on film, because it's just hard, because when you watch the games that I watched, they were outmatched. So he's not. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays in the preseason with that stuff. But yeah, he catching the football, he's ready to go.
Hell yeah, man! I'm glad I remembered to ask it, because I just want to say, let's timestamp it for fans, like screenshot where that was. Just think about it throughout the year.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So we're a little past hour 30. We definitely appreciate everybody coming in here and joining us for this next Friday Night Live. I think we're gonna be out next week. Take a break, but we're gonna be back.
I won't be here
after. Yeah. So we'll be back the week after with Friday Night Live. But we got 400 in here today, so I really appreciate that. We're getting 400 like every week now, man. We started like at 90. We were getting like 80.
This is slow. This is the slowest time of the year coming up.
Exactly. So we're doing pretty good. So appreciate everybody coming in here. Like I said, hit the subscribe button. If I can get to this thing, so subscribe. Hit that. Also, Support TDL, new merch available. Make sure you guys get some TDL merch. Like I said, shout out to everybody that bought some. Thank you, Trip, for the $10 donation. I appreciate that, man. So shout out to Trip for that. So appreciate it, guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Peace.